Hi, welcome to Stories and Spoilers, the podcast. This is a very special episode with author Kristina Forest. You may know her from her series, the Greene Sister series, which I did an entire episode about, which I'll link in the show notes below. But she wrote the partner plot, the neighbor favor, and the love lyric. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you for coming, Kristina. Tell them more about yourself.
Hi, Alyssa. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm Kristina Forest, and like you said, I wrote the Greene Sister series. I also have written a few YA novels, um, and yeah, I guess that kind of sums it up. The Love Lyric was my most recent book that came out in February. Feels like
Yeah.
February went by like that. But the Greene Sisters are an interconnected standalone series, so you can read them in whatever order you choose. The love lyric is about Angel, who I'll start with Iris. It's about Iris, who is a single mother and a young widow who falls in love with Angel, who's a very popular R&B singer. So sort of opposites attract
You
relationship.
Oh my gosh. I loved the love lyric because Angel was definitely pursuing Iris, but you
Hmm.
get from both their point of views. You definitely get a little bit of banter. It's definitely a slow burn. I
Hmm.
also love how we have descriptions of grief, and she's a single mom, but she does have that support of the family, which is
Hmm.
interlocked in all of the books. Also, Angel, since he is a musician and a singer, I was curious, was there anyone you were imagining when you were writing about Angel?
So there wasn't any one particular person who I was looking at and writing about. There were certain people whose careers I paid attention to. Like I thought a lot about Usher and his
Yeah.
career. And the way that I see Angel right now is like where Usher was in his 8701 era. Like you don't have to call, you got it bad. Like he's very, very popular, but
Yes.
he hasn't done Confessions yet, which was huge, right? So Angel is very popular, but he hasn't had that really big like
Mhm.
stratosphere career moment yet. Um, and his storyline was actually inspired by an interview that I read years ago in GQ magazine, and it was with I want to say it was the director of D'Angelo's How Does It Feel music video.
Hmm.
And that video is very sexy. He's like naked the whole time. You see his abs because like the most like sexiest video of
Oh,
all
I know what
time.
you speak of.
Yeah, and he D'Angelo was like he asked like how he could channel the sensuality of it, and the director told him to think about something that he loved. So he thought about his grandmother's cooking. And like you would not think that that's what he's thinking about in this
Interesting.
video because it is so sexy. But I was like, oh, that's such a wholesome thing when, maybe the end product wasn't, you would not think that that's what he was thinking about. And that sort of inspired Angel and his,
Mm.
where he came from, his roots, and how he grew up. He's just this southern, charming guy who, he's very good looking and he can sing and he, has turned into a sex symbol. But, Angel, he embraces that part of himself. So those were two inspirations for his character journey, not necessarily him. He totally is from my imagination.
Also, your imagination's wonderful. For listeners out there who don't know, I'm a huge fan of this series. Anyone who reads these books, you will become a fan as well. I know those are big words, but I'm sitting here and I'm like, the love lyric will enchant you literally from the first chapter. Like, what is more romantic than like seeing someone from across the room and immediately being like, wait up, who is that? Interest, like, you get that feeling where you're like, damn, this person's attractive. And then you get to talk to them and you're like, wow, you just want to learn more and more about them. Iris also is incredibly enchanting, which I love the way that you wrote her. Like,
Thank
she's
you.
guarding her heart, but also like she's lonely and like but she's also things that she has to take care of. And I don't want to give too much away, but like Iris's love for her family and her love for her daughter
Mhm.
and the way that she still had love for her husband who passed away, and the way that her love for Angel grows felt so organic.
Thank you.
Yeah. Even though he was like I definitely imagined like Angel like I did imagine him a little bit like Aaron Pierre. I was like, Aaron Pierre,
Oh,
that's Angel. I
I'll
was like,
take it.
yeah. Because he had to be like sexy. You had to be able to recognize him from a mile away. I was like,
Mhm, mhm.
understood. And he had to be charismatic, but also
Yeah.
kind of quiet. I was like,
Mhm.
and Aaron Pierre can sing. He was Mufasa.
I
So I'm
did
sitting
not
here and I'm
know
like,
that.
yes, Aaron Pierre can sing and he's an introvert,
Um,
apparently. Rumor has it he just wants to stay home. Like he's actually not a super he doesn't want to go out like that.
yeah.
I was like, okay, Angel, okay, Aaron Pierre. So Aaron Pierre was definitely a runner-up in my mind. And then
Mhm.
Ryan Destiny and Thames is who I kind of imagined as Iris. In my mind, I was like, she has to be
Um,
gorgeous. She's got to be go but also a normal human being. I was like,
you know who I had pictured? She's older than Iris.
yeah.
But Nicole Bahari.
I know who you speak of.
Yeah,
Yes.
I feel like whenever I see, she's like the way that she holds herself, like she's very like
Mm.
poised
Oh
and
yeah.
like I sort of when I'm writing, I'm not picturing anyone, but it's in the
Okay.
it's later when people ask me a question like that, like who do you see? Then I start
Yeah.
thinking, but I saw like Nicole Bahari
Ooh, who did you see
as Iris.
for Angel?
Um, I don't know if I've seen someone who I feel
Mm.
embodies him.
He's very
I
unique.
I saw I could see Aaron Pierre more as Xavier from the partner plot.
You know what? I love how you brought it over there because I'm very protective of Xavier, okay? You brought up a book plot I have never read before that was done perfectly, which is high school romance that leads into college and then like flash forward to their present.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so in the partner plot, I annotated this puppy down. I read this on a flight and I reread it on the way home. Like that's how much I loved the partner plot.
Oh, I love
Yes.
that.
So we have Xavier and then we have Violet and they meet in high school. And it was definitely giving like I saw you from across the basketball court and then like you were looking cute and like I want you and you have to play it off like you don't, but you do want them. Also, I loved the tree element where like he would like climb to her room.
I know.
I was giggling, I was kicking up my feet. I went, "Oh." And you do there's a bit of mystery in this as well because you don't know why they broke up.
Mhm.
You don't know. And then when you see them as adults later, you're kind of rooting for Xavier and
Yeah.
Violet to get together. You're like, all right, like you don't know why they broke up. So you're hoping that they can respark what happened, what that romance and that like forever love. And you
Mhm.
also get fake dating, you get marriage,
Mhm.
which is cute. So
Yeah.
speaking of the partner plot, you can envision Aaron Pierre as Xavier.
Yeah, because Aaron
Okay.
Pierre, he
Mm,
physically looks like
because he does.
how I imagine Xavier to look. And I say that again, I wasn't writing him like, ooh, Aaron Pierre, I'm going to
Hmm.
describe, but it was really just like belatedly when I saw Aaron Pierre because I saw him for the first time before I wrote the partner plot, but it
Mm.
was later. I think he was in the show The Underground Railroad,
Yeah.
but it was later that I saw him in something else, and I was like, oh, like that's kind of how I imagine Xavier looked.
I did
Um,
because he was supposed to be a bigger guy. Like because
yeah,
I
he's
remember he was an
tall.
athlete. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't date short guys. Like Xavier's supposed to be like tall. Also,
Yeah,
like
he's tall.
I kind of imagined him as the guy from Abbott Elementary a little bit because he is a teacher later on, but also just his
So
mannerisms. I was like, ooh,
I
nerd.
definitely, I definitely can see what you mean in the way that he interacts with the class.
Mm-hmm.
The actor for what's his name in real life?
He's
Tyler.
very skinny. That's the only thing. The
Yes,
actor is very tall and
he
slender.
is. I feel like his demeanor, I see
Mm.
that more for Nick from the Neighbor
Hey, the
Favor.
The
The original.
What? In the Neighbor Favor, I'm like, Nick is the original, like, sweet, protect him at all costs, baby boy, I love you. I
He's so
love
emo.
you some Nick.
I know.
Yes. And like him and his Black Lord of the Rings retelling, bro.
I
I'm
know.
like, I saw what you did there. You tried to like, yeah, this elves and it's fantasy. And I'm like, so it's Lord of the Rings. No. I'm like, it's giving Lord of the Rings. But yes, out of all of the men, which one's your favorite? I know that's a very mean question. I understand.
Interesting question. I love
No.
them all
Mm,
equally for different reasons.
hmm
I will say that I do have a very special place in my heart for Angel.
Oh,
I just adore him. I adore all of them. And it also
yes.
could be because the love lyric is the one that I wrote the most recently. So it's still the one that's closest to me.
Yeah.
But I just felt that when I was writing Angel, I was a lot of the time when I'm working on something, I don't have perspective on it until, I've read it a bunch of times and have gone through a
hmm
bunch of revisions. But with Angel, while I was writing him, I knew that he was special. He was a special person. And yeah,
Oh my
I just love
gosh.
him. I think he's like so great. I
You
made
pour so
him,
much of
obviously, I think that, but I just, if he were real, I'd be like, you're amazing.
I on he okay, so between because each guy in each book, there's only one other author who's made me care about male love interests as much as you have. And
Mhm.
that's my other favorite author. Both of you like neck to neck. The way that you write men is so like when they hurt, when they experience like hardships, I'm like, I want to fight the person who hurt you. And like that's how I felt about Angel's mom. I was like, I
Oh, I
hate this
know.
woman.
She's a
I
mess.
hate her. I want to take her down. She was so horrible. I was just like, you know what, girl? That's why you're gonna crack. You're gonna crack and you're gonna age horribly. And I hope you end up alone. So that's why I'm sitting here and I'm like, I hope you step on a Lego, girl. I hope you chip a tooth. And like I'm sitting
Yeah,
here
she
like,
was a mess.
he was
Yeah.
horrible. The way you wrote her, I was like, Angel, everything's gonna get better. And he's like, I hope, but probably not. I was like, no, Angel, no. And but also just the way like his origins begin and how you kind of when you meet him at the wedding versus when you meet him later on in the story, how he's always like just a sweet, like beautiful
Yeah.
man. Like he's a sweet, beautiful
He's
man.
very, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he's a dog lover, and then his sister as well. I would gladly read a book all about her and her edgy
Oh,
self.
yes, she's great. I love
She was
her.
cool. I really liked her. I was vibing. I was like, okay, girl,
You know what's
you
funny?
cut
She
your hair.
wasn't in the first version that I wrote in the first draft. She
Oh,
wasn't in it. Or
really?
he had a sister named Leah. She was
hmm
older than him.
Oh.
And this is all coming back to me now. Yeah, she was older than him.
Okay.
And she was not like their mom, but like sort of
Hmm.
a little bit more like their mom in terms of
Okay.
like, the way that she talked to Angel. But she was sort of like a buffer between the two of
Oh,
them.
wow.
And I was just kind of like, I can't tell you why I made the decision to make her younger, but I felt like I just wanted to, like, his mom was enough. He didn't need another situation. And actually, Brie, this is all coming back to me now.
Oh, wow.
Because what's crazy is that last night I did another like book club podcast interview and they were asking me about like major changes. And I brought up one, and it was that and the first draft that I wrote, Iris had like drama with Terry's mom.
hmm
In the final book, they have a very loving relationship. But in the first draft that I wrote, they had beef. And I was like, this is too much. Iris has too much on her plate. She can't have beef with her mother-in-law too. So I
Oh,
changed
wow.
that. And somebody asked if there were other changes that I made, like major changes. And I was like, I don't think so. But now I'm talking to you, it's like all coming back to me. But um, yeah, so Leah was his older sister at first, and he had an assistant named Bree, who in the final version ends up being Iris's assistant, but he had an assistant named Bree who was basically who Leah is to him in the final version. Like
Got
Bree was
you.
kind of like his like younger sister kind of person. And I
Hmm.
was like, I just need to make that his actual sister, and Bree can be Iris's assistant.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so those were big changes that I made when I was revising the book.
Awesome changes though, because his sister, I think, gave a lot of I felt like his sister gave him the opportunity to be more soft, and
Yeah.
she was the more outspoken one. And then
Yeah, yeah.
when he was with Iris, I felt like he got to be a lot more like, I want to be with you, but
Mm,
I'm gonna give you the space. I'm gonna put the ball in your court, even though if it was up to me, I would like us to be further in this relationship. But
yeah.
he was also very like understanding and loving as Iris was navigating her grief
Hmm.
and what a relationship would look like and kind of giving up control. Like it goes towards both of them. You can't just be
Yeah.
all you making the decisions. It was kind of nice, like to see a male love interest have to, like, even though he fell first, I definitely do think she fell harder later
Ooh.
on a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, girl, you love him too. She's like, I'm like, you do. I swear you do.
Well, because I think it's like it might feel that way that like she falls harder in the I do still think that Angel
Loved in a different
ultimately
way.
like and
His
she
love
loves
is
him
so
too, but his
big.
love is so big. But I think that when it happens for Iris, when she has the realization about how she feels for him, it like hits her like a ton of bricks, kind of.
Yeah.
And it's I but that I that's what felt like she needed because she is somebody of all the sisters, like none of them need a man.
No,
None of them need a man.
which we
But
love to
Iris
see.
needs a man the least.
Yeah.
Like she has very strong boundaries in place in her life. Like she is lonely though, but
Yeah.
like has almost like accepted her loneliness a little bit and like she wants to
Mhm.
start dating again, but she hasn't taken the steps to really do it. She kind of just dragging her feet about it. And she's almost just kind of like, well, I had this really great love and maybe that's it. Like maybe that's all that I'll get. And oh, I feel like sad saying that, but like,
No, but you're absolutely right. The way that you wrote about she had what she thought, like this is it.
mhm.
Like everyone
and
gets it and this is it.
And I wanted her to have someone whose love surprised her because he's so
Yeah.
different from who she thought she would end up with. But he's also so irresistible because he's so attractive and he
Yeah.
writes her these love songs and he is
Mhm.
just so forthcoming, a heart on his sleeve about how he feels about her. And she's resistant to it because the idea of it is not what she pictured. But
Mm.
then when it clicks for her, it's just like whoosh, like knocks her over. But
Yeah.
that's what she needed. She needed to be knocked over in order to be like, oh shit, like I'm in love, because otherwise she wouldn't let herself come to that realization. She kind of had to be like so overwhelmed by her feelings for him that she just had no choice but to see where it took them.
I don't want to spoil it because this just came out.
Mm.
But there was something about the way you wrote his love lyrics, for
Mm.
lack of a better word, for the way that you wrote the love lyrics, but also like how you in moments where he's vulnerable and moments where he's not being protected in like social situations, we
Mm.
get to see her step in and
Mm.
kind of speak up for him and be protective, which was very refreshing.
Mm.
Not only with like his mom, but we also get to see her step in and like say like you're just as worthy of love and support. Like you're not just like a good looking person. Like you bring value to the relationship. You bring value. And like also seeing his relationship with her daughter later on and how they interact was
Yeah.
so beautiful. It didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like I'm here now and I'm a perfect man. It's like he he's already lovable and her daughter is like
Mm.
so quirky with like her interests and like being so smart and the way that Iris would talk to kind of the energy, I guess, of her husband passing away. Like our daughter is so wonderful. And just I got emotional seeing how like she carried so much by herself. My
Mm.
favorite book trope of all time is like who takes care of you? Like I want to take
Yeah.
care of you. She didn't need him, but she wanted him there. And he
Yeah.
wanted to be there, you know?
Yeah. Hmm.
And like I think he loved feeling needed, you know? Which was
Yes,
like
I think he liked that too. And I think that because he provides for his parents and in
Mm-hmm.
particular his mom, who is
Yeah.
not a like definitely takes his money, but does
Mm-hmm.
not give him any respect and is not appreciative of
Yeah.
it. He's a giver, he helps them, he pays for his
Mhm.
sister to go to school and everything. And I think someone who doesn't need him,
Yeah.
but is appreciative of him being there, I think that that also does something for him too, to be able to, for him to recognize that she has this need in her life and to provide for that and for her to, also pour into him. I think that um, I think it was just a situation of not who you thought it would be, but like it's actually the right person for you. Yeah, I think this, I just love the two of them. I really do. And I mean, I love all the couples, but again, because the love lyric is the most recent, I feel the closest to Iris and Angel, but I just think that they're just so freaking sweet. And
They are. They are.
thank you. And
They're
I
so
just, yeah,
wonderful. This
adore
came from
them.
your mind. This
I
came
know.
from your
I'm
head.
not talking about them like they're real. I'm like, I just
I'm
love
like,
them so
I'm
much.
like, who is the artist? Who is the chef? And you're like, I am the chef. I'm like, compliments to the chef. This is amazing. I was craving like an ooey gooey, like warm, sweet romance that also had like bitter elements, kind of like a lava
Mhm.
cake. I love food. And I'm sitting here
Oh,
and I'm like,
yeah.
this is literally like if each one of your books was like a dessert, this felt like a decadent, like simple
Oh,
but like warm like dessert to me. You can
yeah.
sink into it. It took time to warm up. It took time to prepare, but like you wouldn't think like chocolate and sea salt go together. You wouldn't think that like,
Yeah. Hmm.
orange and like champagne go together, but they do. And like
Yeah.
the same bubbly warmth he gave, there was a lot of depth to him. And like Iris as well, like she went through a lot, but it didn't overshadow like her optimism, like her love for her parents, her love for her daughter, but she also craved like to be seen and like to not,
Yeah.
and like she carried so much for her sisters throughout the other two books. You see her there. Like she's always
Mhm.
there. But I was always hoping, I was like, I hope like she gets like some love. I hope she gets like seen and like
Yeah.
supported. And you see that. And like he knows her so well. And like it was literally like this book felt like chocolate, like a very decadent, like luxurious, like chocolate cake. It felt like that.
Oh, I love that analogy.
It
Yeah.
felt really, really good. And I can't wait to bring up my analogies for the other two. So I love this one. I highly recommend it. We were talking about it before the episode began, but as an
Mhm.
audiobook and as a physical copy, I I would personally say the audiobook was wonderful because the voice actor who did Angel,
Mhm.
woo, his voice was so silky and smooth. It was so amazing. I was like, 10 out of 10. Love
Yeah,
this
he
man.
did a great job.
You're
Yeah.
good. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, okay. It's good. It's good. I was listening to it at the DMV actually. I was having a really bad day and I was listening to the audiobook and I was like, wow, this is great. Like I
Yeah.
lost track of time. I'm like, this is wonderful. So this was absolutely amazing. And then in relation to the partner plot,
Mhm.
with the love lyric, I noticed that you weren't afraid to dive into some like heavier tones with the love interests and like
Mhm.
what they were going through. We get to see, without any spoilers, we get to see what Xavier went through and why they broke up in the
Mhm.
past. And we also get to see his insecurities in the present. And I was wondering, what was your inspiration for Xavier and what inspired this specific book? Because the chapters of them in high school
Mhm.
and the chapters of them in the present and how they're navigating like fake dating,
Mhm.
being married, after Las Vegas, like how are we going to make this work? Like she's a career
Yeah.
woman, she's doing her thing, like, but he's still
Mhm.
in love with her.
Yeah.
What was your inspiration for the partner plot? Because
Mhm.
it must have been complex because you also to write them as teenagers and as adults.
Yeah, so going into the partner plot, and hopefully this isn't like a spoiler for anyone who hasn't read The Neighbor Favor yet, but towards the end of The Neighbor Favor, Violet goes through a breakup, and she was about to get married, and she goes through a breakup, and so I knew that her book was going to be about finding love after heartbreak, and I also knew that in order for her to fall in love in a believable time frame, it had to make sense. The person she fell in love with had to make sense. And so then I started thinking, like, well, what if it's somebody that she was in love with before? Or what if
Hmm.
it's somebody that she never really stopped loving? And what if maybe the breakup that she has with Eddie, her ex-fiance, actually doesn't even really scratch the surface of what she knows that heartbreak can really feel like? And then I started thinking, well, who is that? Who is this person who she fell in love with? When did it happen? And, she's 27, 28. And so it had to have happened when she was younger. And it had to have happened long ago enough that there isn't really a ton of mention of him in the neighbor favor. I did sneak a line in there about him being like Violet's high school boyfriend, but that's it. Like he's not a part of present day Violet's life. Um,
Hmm.
and so I was like, well, maybe it was when they were really young. And really, Xavier was crafted around Violet. The guys are always crafted around the women, especially because, the series, I conceived of the women first and their
Hmm.
personalities. And so then I created the guys in response to them. And Violet is so, of all the sisters, she is so like, she just is who she is. And she's like not, she's unapologetic about it. She doesn't really have, she just is like very confident in herself. And she knows what she wants for the most part. And she works really hard. And she just, I don't know, she just marches to the beat of her own drum. And I think a lot of that is middle child syndrome, where she's like, and she says, like, my older sister was perfect and my younger sister is so sweet and like everybody loves them. And like, I always get the shitty end of the stick. But
Yeah.
if that's the case, I'm just going to be myself. Whatever. And so that's what she does. And she needed somebody who match that energy, And so, when they're younger and she's got these big ambitions, she wants to go away for fashion school, she wants to travel the world and be like a celebrity stylist. I'm like, she needs somebody who, like, at that time is on the same wavelength. Because,
Hmm.
Xavier, then it's like, okay, he's a basketball player and he wants to be in the NBA. He has these big dreams too. Like when they were younger, they were on the same path. And that's why it was such a formative and important relationship to her, because it was like a real big love. And young love is so, it's like all consuming, and
Yeah.
your brain isn't fully developed and so your hormones are all over the place, and it just kind of like takes over your whole life. And I wanted them to have that.
Hmm.
And so that's why I wrote the prologue the way that I did, so that I really just wanted the readers to understand why this relationship was so important to them when they were at that age. So that way, when they meet again, it's like, oh shit, how would you react if you saw somebody that you were so crazy in love with at that age?
Hmm.
And it's like, I wanted to pose the question, like, well, was it just youth or was it real?
Yeah.
And so that's where, I was the starting point for them. And I love marriage of convenience. That's my favorite trope.
Ooh.
That's the only trope that I have like purposely put into a book. All the other tropes that end up happening, it's like character informs plot. And so then I'm like, okay, this would work because it will work specifically for this character. But
Hmm.
with Violet and Xavier, I was like, no, I want them to like get married. They
Yeah.
thought they would get married when they were younger, and so now they actually are married. So what is it like versus what you thought it was going to be? Yeah.
I I I literally was not prepared to love Xavier as much as I loved Xavier. And now that I know that like Aaron Pierre kind of matches his vibe, I'm like, okay, Aaron Pierre. All right,
Yeah.
Xavier, Aaron Pierre. So it's just whoa, whoa, hold up. But I have to say, like, I think between Nick and Xavier, I cried a lot because like I
Oh,
I felt so bad for him like in past tense. Like when you find out what happened, you
yeah,
feel
yeah,
bad for him.
yeah.
And same thing with Nick. Like I just wanted to hug him. I was like, no, 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 but it does lead into who they are later on.
Mhm.
Also, like for anyone who's ever been in high school and like had your heart broken, you didn't really know all the pieces and parts at the time. And then you
Yeah.
get older and you're like, oh, that's why. It still
Yeah.
hurts, but it's like
Hmm.
when you're a teenager, you don't under like if you don't have all the information, you don't understand, you
Yeah.
know? It's like the Romeo and Juliet situation. You don't know all the things in that
Yeah.
moment until later, and that's like the tragedy of it. But
Hmm.
in this one, their love story doesn't just end in the past. There's opportunities in the present. And I love how you showed Xavier's apartment and you allowed him to be vulnerable and you wrote him in a way where like his insecurities, he does later communicate them, and it
Hmm.
gives her the opportunity to reassure him. And it allows him to like unpack certain things and be very like I feel like their most intimate moments, even though there is a little bit of spice in all of your books, there are moments of intimacy. Some of the best moments in the books to me are the conversations they have
Yeah.
and when the love interests are given the opportunity to express why they care about that person so much.
Hmm.
Um, even like just like the little moments, like when you have this Shirley Temple scene in Love, the Love Lyric, which
Oh,
was so
yeah.
cute. And then in the partner plot, you have the opportunity of being able to see, that the tree next to her room. And her
Hmm.
parents, like she would sneak out, and her parents, she's like, my parents don't know. And they also have the pool scene. There's so many little moments where I was like, oh my God. I was like, they're so cute. It made me
Yeah.
think of the song where it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, team. But it's like talking about like, I'm so anxious, and he's like waiting to hear where she
Oh,
is.
genuine? Yeah.
Yes. He's like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I'm sitting here
Yeah.
like he's like missing you. It's literally like I could literally imagine her like she's talking about her outfits and everything, and like in high school, like she's trying to look cute her first day.
Hmm.
And then you also get to hear that in the background, like, I'm so anxious. And he's like trying to play and be cool. And he's also like, hey, what's up? She's like, what's up? And like, he's like, ooh,
Yeah.
like I'm vibing, Everyone can relate to like young love.
Hmm.
And it's just so cute. And like this book to me felt like the oatmeal cookies that have like cream in the middle and they came
Yes.
with like the plastic wrapping.
Yeah.
That's what this felt like. Like this felt like classic, sweet. Like you ate it as a kid, then you see it as an adult, and you're like, I don't like cookies like that anymore. And you eat it, and you're like, oh wait, this is actually quite delicious. This is
Yeah.
actually quite. It still hits. It's still amazing.
Yeah.
That is exactly like if the love lyric is a lava cake, this is like a delicious like favorite childhood snack you eat as an adult and it still hits and it's nostalgic and it's just so good. You're like,
Oh,
why did
I
I ever
love
think I
that.
could live
Yeah.
without you, girl? It's like, I've always loved you. And she's like, I never stopped loving you. That's the
Yeah.
energy. That is exactly the vibe. And when they got married, they woke up the next day and they're like, I was sitting here and I'm like, oh no. How tragic. I was like, how could this happen? What? We should do nothing. We should keep it the way it is.
Right.
I
Yeah.
love that. Also, his whole school, the way everyone in the school reacts to him coming back and being married. To
Hmm.
me, that was the Abbott Elementary moment where it was like everyone had a personality. The kids were very like, so you still love her? He's like, what?
I know they were all up in his
A
business.
100%. He's like, we're not discussing this, and they were like, we should discuss this.
Yeah, they're like all on her Instagram and stuff.
Exactly. They were all looking for this man. I was like, oh my God. But it was so, so cute. And I absolutely love this book. So, ooh. But yes, the trope for this is definitely giving second chance romance, marriage of
Hmm.
convenience, young love. And then the love lyric was definitely giving like, he's a musician, she's a
Hmm.
businesswoman. We can't be together. It's a workplace romance. You get to see them
Yeah.
kind of like they're on a work trip and they begin to fall for each other and there's boundaries there but also like come on it's love and it's so so cute and I've been saving the big one, the big boy, my most annotated book. Bam, it's I ran out of sticky notes for this book, so I ended up ripping
Yeah.
up like sticky notes and writing little
Yeah.
hearts on the sticky notes.
Oh, I love
I
that.
was like, I love everything about this. This book can do no wrong. And this is The Neighbor Favor. This is the first book
Hmm.
in the series. And honestly, out of all of the siblings, Lily is the youngest,
Hmm.
and you definitely feel it. But also like her expectations, like the way she felt in her family and you get to kind of see her navigate like not always feeling like she fits in. She's kind of quirky. Um, I just loved Lily so much. Like all of the sisters, you care for them differently. But for
Mm.
me, like being like the awkward person sometimes, and like I love
Yeah.
books so much. And sometimes it's all I talk about. Obviously. No, I'm sitting here and I'm like, it's not an addiction. I love what I do. But I related so much to Lily. Um, I guess without going to spoilers, she's a
Mhm.
huge fan of a specific book, and she works in the publishing industry. She wants to come up. She's an assistant to a huge jerk, and she ends up emailing her favorite author, who no one really knows that much about him. They don't really know what he looks like, really. She just thinks like I
Mhm.
think his description said he was like British or something. So she
Mhm.
thinks it's this, this man, this old decrepit man, and she ends up emailing him, and she passes out in a bus because it's so hot. And anyone who's ever been in New York, you know. Um, and long story short, he responds. One thing leads to another. He ghosts her. Why? Why, British man? Why? And then a hot, cute guy moves in her sister's apartment while she's staying there for a bit. Hot, cute guy is like, hey, what's up? Wait, I have to run. And he like runs, and she's like, "Why? Why are you running away, hot cute guy, mysterious hot cute guy, with your connected beard and your cute?"
Yes, the connected
He
beer
said
is
the
so
connected
important.
for the folks who know, he's got a, I'm a lesbian. I don't even need the connected beard. And even I know the lore of the connected beard. So word on the street is this fine man with his connected beard, and he's sweet to his neighbors. He runs like he's you don't know like why is he doing what he does? And you
Mhm.
learn he may not be who he says he is. What? And it's just great. I'm trying not to fangirl, but this book, for anyone who loves books, who's ever wanted to like fangirl to your favorite author, and it turns out your favorite author is not only hot, but single.
But single.
Well, where? It looks like you're about to play yourself. You gotta play yourself. But this book is so, so good. Also, I feel like Lily, New York felt like a character in this book, but it really like
Mhm.
there's certain places in New York that are mentioned in this book where I was like, oh, I've been there.
Mhm.
But like Nick, literally to me, I was like, oh my God, he's a massive nerd.
Yeah, he is.
He's
They
a
both are. They matched each other's nerdiness.
Yes, they did. Can you match my nerd? And she's like, you should get a book, you should get a bookcase. This man said, say less.
I know.
This man said, what do you need me to buy? It's done. She went, which one do you want? Which one do you want? Which one do you want? She's like, I kind of want to, I believe in love. He's like, I also believe in love. Yes, yes. So super cute. I want to hear all about the neighbor favorite from your point of view. What inspired
Mm,
Nick? What inspired Lily? You said that you build your love interest around the main character. So what inspired Lily
mm.
to you?
Oh gosh, this is so long ago. um,
My description of the book, is it on point? Like me.
um, I'm trying.
Stay with me. You're like, yeah, I recall. Yeah. I'm like, and his beard's connected. You're like, uh-huh, it is connected. Yeah. Yeah. Now that you
Well, it's
mention
like
it.
the stage of the prep stage of
Mhm.
the neighbor favor was in 2021 when or it goes back further than that. I had thought of this series in 2019,
Oh, wow.
but I didn't have enough time to write it because I was under contract for some of my YA novels, and I didn't find the time to start actively working on the neighbor favor until 2021.
Mm.
And I actually had first in 2020, the fall of 2020, I tried to write a version of Violet and Xavier's story, and it just was not coming together. It was not working out. And I was like, I'm gonna have to shelve that.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the descriptions, like the very brief descriptions I had of each series, which are all so different.
Hmm.
Now, so originally in the neighbor favor, Lily worked for a magazine, and she was a big fan of this like adult cartoon show, sort of like Big Mouth.
Hmm.
And Nick was the creator of this TV show.
Okay.
And it was the same thing where they had been corresponding.
Hmm.
but or like the mistaken identity thing was still
Yeah,
part
like
of
you've got mail vibes. This was the closest thing I could find similar. Like when they would email and message back and forth and then he wouldn't respond, I was sitting there with Lily and I was like, I'm in a happy relationship. But if this man does not respond in T minus three
it.
pages, I'm gonna elbow drop him through this book. I swear to God. But no, their correspondence, I don't know how you did it, but like each time he responds and each time she responds, I fell deeper in love with both characters even though I knew I was like, at some point she's gonna meet hot man with a connected beard. But what's gonna happen to hot email man? What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Can she have both? Where? You just got to read the neighbor favor to find out. What? Look at that. Boom. This like so good. And what you wrote about Nick's past with his
Mhm.
dad and like why certain things lead to his choices now as an adult was
Mhm.
like as someone who has really bad anxiety, I felt at times that each one of the love interests in each book had some form of like mental health that they were navigating. For me with Nick, like with his childhood and the trauma from his childhood and
Mhm.
how that affects his adulthood for anyone who's ever felt like having a bumpy relationship with one of your parents or maybe feeling like maybe you've gotten really hurt in your past and you're like, I never want to experience that ever again. So I'm going to build my life
Mhm.
in a certain way, like to protect myself. You will relate to Nick. Um, but at the same time, like you'll also relate to Xavier because he had something happen as a young adult that literally affected the rest of his life and his professional career. And he had to make a
Mhm.
choice and he had to kind of rebuild his life in a different way. The same thing with Angel and like religious trauma, you know,
Mhm.
and like how
Mhm.
he navigates a emotionally abusive mom. And he knows she's not
Mhm.
great to him, you know?
Yeah.
um each one of these love interests to me had a moment of vulnerability and they
Mhm.
had a moment of like maybe they were hiding certain things about themselves and they later were able to communicate like this is why I do what I do or this is why I felt this is the best way to navigate this situation. And
Mhm.
each one of the sisters and each one of the women in these books have had the opportunity to open up as well. And that's where they complement each other so beautifully. And like if the love lyric is chocolate cake,
Mhm.
love cake, and then the partner plot is like an oatmeal cookie, then the neighbor favor felt like peach cobbler. Like it
Ooh.
felt like ooey gooey, you know. Specifically, I'm referring to a certain family party barbecue that you wrote in each and it's referenced in each one of the books, which I love.
Yeah.
But in this book specifically, you get to see Nick later on meet some of her family, and you
Mhm.
get to see him kind of wish he had that. And
Yeah.
like you kind of get to see him see her parents who I also love and like see her childhood room and he gets to see the special edition like her copy of this book and like
Mhm.
they to me are like peach cobbler because they're perfect for summertime
Oh
and
yeah.
they're just so good and also like he's down for her bad. Like he you got it bad. You know you got it bad. That's literally me, like Nick, bro. You are in love with her. And he was like, she's walking away and she's so beautiful, and I have secrets and I have to go. I'm like, sir,
Yeah.
what are you
He's
talking
got a
about?
lot.
That
He's
man's
got
got
a
a
lot
lot on
going
his
on.
plate. He's fighting for his life. And he's just so wonderful. And like to me, they were definitely like peach cobbler, fresh out of the oven, vanilla ice cream. Like you're gonna want another moment with them. And you
Mhm.
get to see all of the characters in each book, which is nice. Like after the neighbor
Yeah.
favor, you get to see, Nick and Lily in book two. You get to see them, in the bed. They good, they good. Same
Yeah.
thing with like Xavier. You get to see him later on, and then in
Mhm.
book three, you get to see Nick and Xavier
Yeah.
in the same house. When I saw them pop into book three, I'm like, what you doing here? What you doing here? They're like, oh yeah, we're good, we're good. I'm like, I miss you. Right more. But yes, I know you can't have a favorite out of all three. I
Mhm.
know you can't. And I know you said that you're still vibing with Love Lyric, which makes sense. Angel can
Mhm.
do no wrong. But out of like these three books, I gotta say, you ate with all of them. They're all different. But I'm like, I need more. Please. If you wrote like a book about the parents, I would read it. I shit. When the dad was like, "My knee hurts, my back hurts," I'm like, "You better fix your shit right now." I was like, "You can't, like, you need to stay on point, Papa. You gotta stay on point." That man said, "I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna be all right."
I know he's like, everybody leave me alone. Let me do my job.
100%. And each one of the sisters is named after a flower because the parents own like a plant store. And
Mhm,
you see that in book three, you get to see something hope happening with that.
mhm.
Um, I just like the way that you connected everything. I was like, give her a minute. Let the chef finish. Let her finish, and they're so,
Thanks.
so good. I was like, all right, just hear me out, hear me out. You're gonna cry, but you're gonna be happy about it. You're gonna be happy about it. I wanted to know, what do you think makes a great romance book? And
Mm,
what are some of your favorite book tropes in general? I know you mentioned
mhm.
marriage of convenience you love, but what are some other things that you love,
Yeah.
like in romance?
So, what I like to say is that any trope can be done well. And, I've been reading romance for a long time, and sometimes you think that there is a certain trope or storyline that if you hear about it, you're like, I don't know if I would like that. But then it all depends on the execution of the book.
Mhm.
And sometimes you read a really good book and you're like, I loved that. So for me, regardless of what the plot is, what the trope is, what I think makes a really good romance is the vibe between the characters, or chemistry, I guess is the most common word. I like to use vibe,
I like a
but
vibe.
the chemistry between the characters, they have to have an intriguing vibe between them. I have to want to root for them. I think you need to have characters who you root for them individually to
Mm.
succeed or to be happy. And then you have to be able to root for them to be together and to stand behind them needing to get together. You have to root for their relationship. And I think that the best romances have characters who readers want to root for and a relationship that they want to root for. And everything else kind of doesn't matter. That's what matters the most. And you build, everything else is like just an addition to it. So that's what I think makes the best romance. My favorite trope, like I said, marriage of convenience is probably my favorite. But I also love, I mean, I kind of love everything. Honestly,
Variety. Give her some
yeah,
variety.
I
I like
love
a
enemies
vibe.
to lovers. I love friends to lovers. I love forced proximity, but I think that all romance novels have forced proximity. It's kind of like a given
I hear
of
that.
the genre. I love epistolary, which is, the neighbor favor with the letter writing or text, falling in love via the written word. I also love
Ooh. I
that.
didn't know that was the word for it.
hmm
You're
I
teaching me
love
something every day. Yes.
I love brother's
Yes.
best friend. I love
Ooh,
best friend's brother. I
all right.
love
Forbidden romance. Am I getting a
Yeah,
little bit
or
of
like
forbidden romance
siblings,
in here?
best siblings,
Okay.
best friend, siblings, best friend. I love, I don't mind reading accidental pregnancy. I know some
Interesting.
people are iffy about it, but I had been hesitant about it, but then I read a couple really good ones and I was like, actually, I can be here for this. I know a lot of people don't like Secret Baby. I felt the same way, but I read a really good Secret Baby book and I was like, you know what?
Oh,
I'm here for this as well. So I'm kind of just like,
okay.
I will
I when
literally
when
read
you
anything,
say
honestly.
surprise pregnancy, the first
Mhm.
one I thought of was it's right there. It's haunting me, but it's so amazing. Is Out on a Limb
Out on
by
a
Hannah
limb.
Bonham
Yes,
Young.
I read that. And I read
Yeah.
Ready or Not by Cara Bastone. Bastone, I think that's how you
Ooh.
pronounce her last
I
name.
the book cover is like a young woman and a man, and they're walking in New York, and there's like leaves all
Yes,
around them. Yes,
yes,
yes. I
that
can
book.
really see the book cover in my mind. Yes. I
And
wanted
years,
to read that for a while.
it's so good. And years ago, I read this book by Naima Simone called Scoring the Player's Baby, I want to say.
Ooh.
And it's about I cannot remember what her job is, but she's like a, power boss businesswoman. And she
Okay.
has a one night stand with a football player and she ends up getting pregnant
Ooh,
from it. And they have to navigate their relationship. It's
okay.
really good. I read
Hmm.
that. a long time ago, like maybe
All right.
7 years ago or
I
something.
I I have had a few listeners say that that was not their favorite trope, which I totally understand.
Hmm.
But for me, good writing is good writing. Hear me
That's
out. Hear me
that's
out.
how I feel. And I feel like
Writing.
yeah, like again, like there's certain things that I would think that I wouldn't like, but then I read it done really well. It just
Mhm.
really like it's all to as with any genre of
It
literature,
depends.
but like especially when it comes to tropes, like it all depends on the execution of it,
Mm.
And then, I felt the same way about Second Chance Romance, kind of.
Yeah.
And then I read 7 Days in June and I was like, this is amazing, you know?
I'm saving that
And
book for this summer.
you
Please.
haven't read it
I've
yet?
been jumping. I've been hiding from spoilers, which is funny because my entire podcast is about
Oh,
spoilers. But I've literally been saving it for the summertime.
that is one of
Um,
my favorite books of all time. It's so
bruh.
good.
I'm fighting for my life. I'm trying to save it for June. I'm trying to save it for the
Oh, okay.
summertime.
Okay. I see. I got
My
you.
I have a vision. I have a vision and I will achieve it. I envision myself on a beach with my tropical drinky drink and I live in Florida. It's possible. And I'm sitting here and
Mm,
I'm like I will be on a beach and I'll be in a yellow swimsuit with my tropical drinky drink next to my beautiful partner, not burning, hopefully. And my
yeah.
dream is to read this book at the beach in the
Yeah.
summertime. And I'm going in blind. I did read A Love Song for Ricki Wilde by Tia
Hmm.
Williams.
Hmm.
And the couple from that book,
They're in it. Yeah.
they're in it, but I don't
Yeah.
have context. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh no, I messed up. So
Well, I
um
mean, like,
it's not too
you're
bad.
reading romance, so you know
They're
they're gonna end
there.
up together at the end.
You
So
do. You
you
do.
you
I'm
it's okay. Like
yeah. Did I
you
mess myself up?
no, no.
No, but I have heard great things. I own the book. I'm waiting to read it till this summer. But
Hmm.
speaking of love, Tia Williams, list girl, the hype is real. It's worthy. She's wonderful. I cannot wait to do an entire episode about a love song for Ricki Wilde because that was one of the
Hmm.
best audiobooks I've ever read. I
Oh,
was
I
like,
haven't listened to the audiobook. I read the book, but I
ooh.
didn't listen to the audio.
His voice, at first, I thought that the voice of Breeze in A Love Song for Ricki Wilde was the same guy from your book because his the way the way he
Oh,
spoke for a split second. I'm like,
yeah.
this sounds very similar.
Uh-huh.
So beautiful. But you get to hear like his voice is so musically inclined. Like
Hmm.
I feel like he would be a singer, like the raspy smokiness of his voice. He sounded to me like I felt like I was listening to a call from the character, like a voicemail in a way.
Oh, wow.
It was
Yeah.
very immersive. It was
Yeah.
so good. I have literally like I think like 7 or 8 pages just of all of my notes from the book that I typed up because I
Uh-huh.
want to talk about it because it was such a beautiful and unique love story.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love that book.
And
Yeah.
like
But
also like just like you're writing, like the neighbor favorite, I have no idea how you crafted such a story. Like Nick and Lily's love story to me, it felt like real people who fell in love in New York, who fell in love over books and recommending
Mhm.
books and like their friendship. I never felt like once it couldn't happen.
Mhm.
Like the stakes were so high, it didn't make sense. Like they were opposites in any way. They felt
Mhm.
so similar, you know. And you brought up Usher, but like as I was reading The Neighbor Favor, I could not stop listening to Crush by Usher, and I think her name is Yuna. But
I don't think I've ever heard that song.
yeah, there's a song. I will not sing it. I'm a horrible singer, and I'm already saying too much in this episode. But there is a song. I will send you the link. But
Mhm.
it's like talking about like them having a crush on each other, and of course it's Usher's beautiful voice, but it also has this
Mhm.
beautiful woman's voice like responding to him about how she
Mhm.
feels. And I was literally like their emails to each other. That was a song I was like, oh my God, this is exactly like the vibe of like as they speak to each other. I was like, they're crushing on each other and they love books
Yeah.
and it's so cute. Um, yes, I wanted to know your favorite book tropes because I was hoping it would give me a wink, wink, a teaser to what you have coming up next.
Oh.
Me, I'm trying to investigate. I'm trying to discover. The
Um,
girlies want to know.
ooh, that one has a little bit of fake dating.
Ooh. You do it so well. You do it so well. You know how I know you do it so well? I'm gonna pull bam, the partner plot. You already did the plot.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that does have elements of
How
like,
fake was it? They were really in love. Boop. Spoiler
yeah.
alert. It's love. All these books have true love. I hope you're ready for some true love. Are you hungry? What? For true love. That's what you're gonna get. My next question for you is in the neighbor favor, they are major book nerds and they have amazing chemistry. I wanted to know, are you and your partner book nerds?
So I am,
Mm.
obviously. So he is a later in life developed a love for reading. He
Hey,
likes to read fantasy. So right now he's reading R.F. Kuang's first trilogy. The Oh, nah, I'm blanking. I'm like trying to see what it says on the bookshelf. God. R.F. Kuang's first books, her first three books are a high fantasy trilogy. And so
oh
that's what
wow.
he's reading right now. The Burning God is the book that he's reading right now. That's the third book, but I forget the name of the series.
So Nick, you're with Nick. I'm saying the beans.
So yeah, my husband, he likes to watch a lot of fantasy TV shows. Like he likes Lord of the Rings and he likes
It's like
Rings
Rings of
of
Power.
Power. And I also liked Game of Thrones, and he really likes fantasy shows. And
Hmm.
so from there, I had sort of, and he reads my books. And, a couple of years ago, I had sort of suggested to him, like, I had suggested Tamora Pierce, actually,
Ooh.
her Alana series, and I gave him the first book in that series, and he read it and he really liked it. And so from there, he has read, some other fantasy. So that's what he likes to
That's so cute. Also,
read.
congratulations, you recently got married.
I
So,
did, yeah,
yes,
thank you.
congratulations. That's so sweet. I was on your page looking for your next book. I was like, "Hey, yo, I'm waiting." And you hadn't released the love lyric yet, and I was like, "I'm waiting." So I was reading through your young adult books, and I was like, "Okay, I've read all your books. Help me." So I was just, I was like, "I need to find something to fill this neighbor favor hole. My heart is a hole." And I was looking, and then I realized you got married one day, and I was like, good for you, girl. Good for you. Have a happy
Thank
ending. Good for
you.
you. Yes. So, my last question for you is Lily, Violet, and Iris are all unique characters who come to life in these books. If this series became movies, which character would you want a different ending for? Ooh.
Nobody. I like everybody's
I love
ending.
all their endings. I was like,
Yeah.
would you want it to be a miniseries if you could, or would you want it to just be movies?
Mm. I would love how Bridgerton is like each season is about a different sibling. Because if it follows the structure of the books,
Yeah,
like one season is about them, next season, that would be nice if I could have like, you know, maybe I think that each book could have like 6 episodes.
yeah, I think
It
so.
doesn't need to be a whole 8 to 10 package, but I think, 6 episodes per 3 seasons, 6 episodes, one season per couple. That would be really nice.
I was gonna say maybe like 6 seasons. What? Who said that? I'm sitting here, I'm like, I don't want to let go of these characters, please. I just love all of them so, so much. And yeah, actually, my last question is, what do you want listeners to know about the series and what's to
Mm,
come in the future?
yeah. So I guess what I want listeners to know is that that I hope that you read the books and you find the characters relatable, or if you don't find them relatable, at least you find them intriguing, and that they make you feel good and feel happy and feel hopeful about the world and about love. Um, what's coming next for me? Well, what's coming next is directly next is my YA novel. My
Hey.
next YA novel is called Heartsick, and that's about two teens who are exes who discover that a pill that you can take in order to fall out of love with someone is actually really bad for you. So they have to work together to try to expose this company who's selling this pill to people. And what is coming next in the adult space, I can't talk about yet, but I think I'll be able to talk about it kind of soon. So
Ooh.
what's coming, my 2026 novel. So,
Oh my God. Oh my
yeah.
God. I'm sitting here and I'm like, my edges are gone. My eyebrows are gone. My cat is gone. Everybody's gone. I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm patiently waiting. My cat literally went to his little cat-shaped bed and he's like, next book. I went, yes, there's another one. I literally cannot wait to read your upcoming young adult book. One,
Mhm.
the cover is super cute.
It's very adorable. Yeah.
And
Thank
you're
you.
continuing the pastel thing. You think I didn't notice? Obviously, I did. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, I cannot wait to read it. But also, I've seen movie adaptations where like I guess the first one that pops to mind is like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where it's like, what would you
Oh, yeah.
do?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like to get over a heartbreak, because heartbreak is
Yeah.
horrible. But I've always wondered, like, if there was like a potion or a pill or something to make it go away, would people actually do it? And
Yeah.
I'm like, I think people would actually
I
do it.
think so too. That's sort of
Yeah.
actually Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind was sort of an inspiration for the premise of the book. Like if there was
Wow.
something you could do to erase feelings, would you do it? And what kind of person would do it? And what if there was actually something wrong with
With
that,
that, yeah.
So that was
Man.
actually the initial inspiration for the
Oh
book.
my
So
gosh.
yeah.
I feel like your books all carry so much like magic and like power. And I just feel like your books literally feel like that moment where you watch like a romance movie and you're like, I really hope that they realize they love each other. I really hope one of them turns around. Don't leave me. And
Yeah.
then you have that moment like, you have it in the love lyric, you have it in the partner plot, you have it in the neighbor favor, where someone's like, you know what? I think I am gonna risk it all. Like, I really want to
Yeah.
be with you. And I'm like, do it, do it. It's gonna be all right. And I'm the reader, and
Yeah.
I'm like, do it. I don't know if you've ever seen Silver Linings Playbook, but
That's
there,
one of my favorite movies.
yeah,
I love that movie.
yeah, I love that movie so much. But there's
Yeah.
a scene where he's reading the book, and he's like, what? And he throws it out the window, and he's just
Yes. Oh my God. And the
yes.
dad,
And
Robert
he
De
wakes
Niro
the
comes
dad up. He's
upstairs.
like, I
He's
can't
like, what
believe
the
it ended this way. Why would that happen? That was literally me with the neighbor favorite. Like I was reading it and I'm like,
Oh, the
I
the
was like,
emails.
yeah, I was like, why would you do that?
You
And
know
I like
what's funny? I did not expect people to have such a strong reaction to that moment. And it
yeah.
wasn't until obviously the book was out in the world and I was hearing from readers, I was like, oh, like I
Oh,
did not think, I thought that people were going to be like, ooh, what happens next? But I've heard that a lot of people are like, like, were a little, so that definitely was not,
you broke all of our hearts at the same time. And
I
then you were
did
like,
not think
don't
that was going
worry,
to
I'll heal it.
happen.
I'll fix it. We were like, no, why would you do that? But you fix it. You obviously I stuck with you and I'm gonna stick beside him. That's yours? Yeah, that's mine. I'm gonna stick beside him. So I tried to explain to listeners like there are certain tropes or there are certain things that happen in books, and everyone's like, why would they do that? And I'm like, hold up, I need you to stay with me because it's gonna get better.
Yeah,
It's gonna get better.
yeah.
Nick, all these characters had their reasons, okay? It's gonna get better. But I just love that like I have yet to find a book like yours, like series like yours that just
Mhm.
like it makes me feel like so warm and fuzzy and like it makes you believe in love again. Like your books are like in a crazy time in the world, like your books bring so much like hope like for love, you know? So yeah, I
Thank
just wanted to thank
you.
you. I'm grateful that you brought them into the world because they're wonderful.
Thank you for reading. If we have time, I do have a
Yeah,
couple of suggestions. So,
please do.
an author who I think that if you like my books or if anyone who's listening likes my books and is looking for something that is of a similar vibe, one of my favorite authors, her name is Mimi Grace. She's an indie author. And wait, let me look up the name of her series. But my favorite book by her is called What a Match. And it is a best friend's brother trope story.
Okay.
And it's so cute. It's so good. But she had, let me like look and make sure
Yeah.
uh,
And I'll link all of these books in the show notes, listeners, so that you can definitely check them out. So yeah,
I
so
can't see what the name of the series is, but Maybe Grace. I love all of her books. We sort of I feel like have like a similar vibe to our stories.
Ooh.
I also would suggest Etta Easton, who wrote The Kiss Countdown that came out last year, and her most recent book, The Love Simulation, came out this week, 2 days ago. I haven't read
Hey.
that one yet, but I have it, and I'm excited to read it. We sort of have like a similar vibe as well. Um, yeah, so those are two authors who I think like, if you're looking for a
Mhm.
Black romance of like a similar vibe that I write, like the two of them, I think have a similar vibe.
Got you. I
Mm,
feel like
yeah.
one of the few authors who's been able to the partner plot really punched a hole in my heart. I'm like, I'm trying to fill it. I'm trying. Is Tia Williams has been helpful in the sense that like sometimes your writing to me feels like very like whimsical and it
Mm,
feels like very like almost fairy tale-esque in certain moments. Like you hope, like something comes around the corner. So a
mm,
love song for Ricki Wilde definitely is gonna be one of my recommendations just because
mm.
Breeze reminds me a lot of Angel. So I was like, oh, I love him so
Oh,
much. Like the musical element,
yeah,
kind
I
of
can see that.
sexy. I was like,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Angel to me though, like sweet baby Angel, no one can replicate him. He's so wonderful. But I was like, you know what? If you love music and you love a timeless classic Southern gentleman, who's
Yeah,
also got a
yeah. And the more
connected
that you
beard,
talk, I'm like, yeah, they do sort of have certain things in
they could be
common.
cousins.
They
They
could
could
be
be cousins.
cousins.
They're not the same man, but he's definitely a cousin. He's a hot
Yeah.
cousin. Um, yeah, that's like my recommendation in the case of like if you're looking for like a replace like after you read the love lyric and you're like, oh, my heart is empty. How will I ever go on? You will
Yeah.
go on. You will. You will. Just like me. You gotta survive. Girls gotta eat. And it's gonna be okay. So definitely a love song for Ricki Wilde is gonna be my like love lyric, like it's gonna be all right, hold on.
Mhm.
Um, and then also Talia Hibbert kind of
Oh,
reminds me.
yes, of course. I don't know why I didn't say hers because
Yeah.
I feel like everybody knows her. But
Yeah, she's
I
she's
love her
pretty
books as
cool.
well.
Get a Life, Chloe Brown, did remind me a little bit of like the quirkiness of Lily, where I was
Yeah,
like,
I can see that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I was like, all right, girl, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the vibe. But I'm excited to look at the Kiss Countdown because I always see that book floating around, and I'm
Hmm.
like, I love girls in STEM. We love folks who are sci-fi
Yeah.
girlies.
Yeah.
And Mimi Grace, I've never heard of that author, and I like highlighting independent authors, so it's really
Yeah.
exciting to look at that as well.
Yeah, I love her books so much. To me, the way that her books make me feel is, I think, the way that people tell me that my books make them feel.
Hmm.
So I just highly, highly recommend her. I love her books. Yeah.
There was, I guess I just out of curiosity, while I still have you,
Hmm.
do you have any romance books since you said you've been reading them for so long that
Hmm.
you think about where you're like, I wish more people talked about this book, or I wish I could
Ooh.
reread this for the first time?
Oh, I have so many I wish I could
I'm
reread for the
like,
first
Kristina, I'm
time.
literally begging you. I've read all of your books. I am dying. I
Well,
am
so
dying.
I don't know if you read historical romance.
I
If
read them.
you, okay,
Read them
that was my
sometimes.
entry into romance. So with the
Okay.
books that I return to a lot are historical romance novels.
Hmm.
One of my favorite books of all time is Indigo by Beverly Jenkins. I love that book so much. I go back and look at scenes from that book. I also really love a historical romance author named Lisa Clayfish. I've like learned so much from reading her books, even though I do not write Regency era historical romance, and I write contemporary romance about Black people. Like I look to see if I'm in a rut, don't know how to figure some plot thing out. I think, well, okay, well, how did Lisa Kleypas do this? Like I have learned so much from her, and she is one of my all-time favorite authors as well. There's so many of her books that I wish that I could, wipe my brain and read them over again.
Yeah.
So definitely those two. I would say for Lisa Kleypas, A Devil in Winter,
Ooh.
um, Where Dreams Begin, and hmm, again, The Magic.
Ooh.
More. There's more that I would wish I could reread,
No,
but
those are
those
good
are my top three
recommendations.
from her. I think that I just love
Okay.
those books so much. Yeah.
All right. You know what? I'm like, when people say like, what's a romance you wish you could wipe your brain and like reread it or like reset your mind?
Hmm.
I'm sure you've already figured it out of the Greene Sister series, which book really hit me the hardest. But I guess it's because I love them all so much for different reasons. Like
Hmm.
each one of them came into my life when I needed it. Like when I first met my partner, I read The Neighbor Favor, you
Oh,
know? When
yeah,
we moved in
yeah,
together, I read The Partner Plot.
yeah,
No, and then we're coming into our 4 year anniversary, and for Valentine's Day, the day we actually first met in person due to Panini, the pandemic, she
yeah,
gave me a book when we first met. That was her first gift to me.
yeah,
So now 4 years later on Valentine's Day, I was having a really bad day, and she
yeah.
gave me the love lyric as a gift.
Oh, I love that. And happy anniversary.
Thank you. So
Yeah,
our anniversaries are right around the corner. I'm very excited.
yeah.
And books are a gift. And
Hmm.
like your romance books to me, whatever occasion, like listeners out there, each one of Kristina Forest's books are a gift, and you're gonna receive something from each one of them. And like they're magical in their own way. And like um you're just gonna feel like each one of these characters is giving you a hug, and they're just so magical. Like it feels like walking into a world where like, taxes, bills, wrinkles, my back
Text.
hurts. And
Yeah,
everything hurts. What's happening to me? I'm only 28. But then next thing you
yeah.
know, you're gonna pick up one of these books and you're gonna be like, wait a dang minute, I'm fine. I
Hmm.
have a good personality. I can read a good book. And then you're just gonna feel like the magic again. Like, you know what? Everything's gonna be great. There's so much possibility in the world, and that's what your books give. They
Oh,
give so much
thank
hope.
you.
Mhm.
I love you. I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait to read your next book that comes out. I will link your recommendations below.
Okay, cool.
And I just like your books will pull anyone out of a book slump. You can never be too sad if you read a Kristina Forest book because it'll always heal you. But I will give you a warning with the neighbor favor. You may or may not at one point be like, what does he mean by that? Where did he go? And then he'll come back in your life and you'll be like, wait a dang minute, I forgive you for all. I forgive you for all. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Kristina. You are a divine, wonderful person. I can't wait to read more of your books. And thank you for
Thank you so much for having me. This has been so, so nice. It's been a real joy talking to you. So thank
Thank
you.
you. I'll link her Instagram below as well as her website so you can find all of her books. And I will also link the books you mentioned below as well. Who knows? Maybe Devil in Winter, I need to check out. All right, because
I suggest it. I love that book.
you know what? I'll check it out. I need to read something until your next book comes out. So looking like that. But have a great day, everyone, and thank you for listening to the podcast. Bye.